How could you not be excited to hear what happened on Thursday night as it was announced by John Heyman that the New York Yankees have signed Carlos Rodon? Here's who Carlos Rodon is, ladies and gentlemen. Carlos Rodon has been not one dominant pitcher in one league. He's been a dominant pitcher in the National League and the American League. And the last pitcher to do that in two different leagues in a 2 years, 3-year span was CC Sabathia. And where did CC Sabathia go when he became a free agent? He went to the Yankees. And how old was CC Sabathia when he went to the New York Yankees? 29 years old. How old is Carlos Rodon? 29 years old. Does anybody see this path the way you expect the Yankees to see it? 2009, his first year, CC Sabathia won a World Series in the new Yankee Stadium. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen this year, but Aaron Judge will be the new captain. He will be announced as the new captain of this team before the season starts. And they wanted to make a huge splash in the offseason. And maybe they need to add another bat in left field. They probably do. But they needed another player to show the fans that they're ready to win. They're ready to knock off the powerhouse in the Houston Astros, who, by the way, added Jose Abreu.
Carlos Rodon the last 2 years, 2.37 ERA in 2021 and 2022, 2.88 ERA. And probably could have won the Cy Young in 2021, too, if he didn't get hurt towards the end of the year. Was definitely a finalist at that time. 237 strikeouts this year, 185 last year. Those are great numbers to have in Yankee Stadium, especially. And he's been durable the last couple of years as well. He had a lot of injury issues earlier in his career, and I know a lot of Yankee fans are skeptical with that. Most of it was early in his career.
He finished, I think, third in strikeouts this year. Third. Who's finished in first? Garrett Cole. So the Yankees have two powerhouse pitchers, a righty and a lefty, as their 1 and 2. Nestor Cortez, Luis Severino, and Frankie Montas. This is the best pitching staff in baseball. There's not even an argument right now. Not the Houston Astros, not the Braves, the Cardinals, or even the Dodgers have a pitching staff as good as this starting rotation. What does that say? Nothing. They have to stay healthy. They need to do it on the field. That's something that the Yankees need to do. And they have to beat the Houston Astros. And they have to find a way to score on that team. But this is a start. They needed to make a splash this offseason to really put them over the top and compared to the Houston Astros, and they did it. Now they got to do it on the field. But Carlos Rodon, he's a powerhouse pitcher, has an unbelievable slider, throws a 92-mile-per-hour slider in the dirt. It's very hard to read because of the way he throws the ball up top and bringing it down. It's very hard to see the ball out of his hands, and that's what makes him dominant. And he's a lefty. And in Yankee Stadium, you need to have a powerhouse lefty. Now the Yankees have two of them. They have Nestor Cortez and Carlos Rodon. Now they have righty, lefty, and that is absolutely an advantage for the New York Yankees. Absolutely an advantage.
And all power, too. Like Garrett Cole, you're talking about, throws hard, gets a ton of strikeouts every year. And Rodon throws hard, gets a lot of strikeouts in his last couple of years as well. Frankie Montas, when he is on the top of his game, is a 200 strikeout guy, too. This is what you need in an AL East that's filled with a lot of bandboxes. And Carlos Rodon, if you want to talk about the contract, too, was an absolute bargain. I was thinking he was going to get something between 32 and 35 million. I was thinking 32 is probably going to be his average market value. They got him for 27 a year. That is absolutely insane.
No trade clause, but I think it was a great deal for the Yankees.
Fantastic.
Yankee fans are just worried about his health. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I don't think the Yankees are going to out-throw him. He's not going to go out there every 5 days. I've seen Aaron Boone sit him out. His time to start and play him another week or a couple of days later. So they're not going to push Carlos Rodon. He's still fairly young. He still has a very good arm. He's never had Tommy John surgery. He's got the arm strength. And everybody keeps saying, what about the bullpen? They've added 3 arms to the bullpen now. They just added Warren. They've added pieces. Now, the Yankees have good young pitchers coming up from the farm system. They have Sevy coming back this year. King will be back this year. This was the best bullpen in baseball in the first half of the season before the injuries started to pour down. This might be the best overall team in the MLB.
And the high-priced bullpen is what hurt them down the road. I think the Yankees are better off trying to keep it young there and go after the starters that all the Yankee fans have definitely been craving for over the years. And if you're not going to give Brian Cashman praise for Carlos Rodon, then you're just a hater at this point. That's a bargain.
Bargain, and you're talking about the best pitching staff in baseball now. There's no argument right now. And anybody that tell me that from 1 to 5, you don't think the Yankees have the best starting rotation in baseball, then you don't know baseball. They have 3 pitchers, actually 4, with Luis Severino, that could pitch over 200 strikeouts. Luis has done it. He did it when he was a Cy Young candidate. Nestor Cortez, that was the first time he pitched as much as he did last year. This is a powerhouse strikeout pitching staff. That's what you need in the AL East. You need strikeout pitchers. You need guys that they're going to make you swing. And that's what the Yankees are. They're all power. And that's what the lineup is. But here's why I think the Yankees don't really need to go out and search for too many bats. There is no more shifting. Those infield shifts where you see the third baseman on the first base line, that you will never see again. It's over. What does that do for players like Anthony Rizzo? A lot. Giancarlo Stanton, who's a pull ball hitter? A lot. Even Aaron Judge, who likes to hit the ball all over the field. This benefits the Yankees. It benefits the league. It'll be more offense in the league. So the Yankees don't really have to go after a big-time hitter, a guy that can hit for average, because I think their averages are definitely going to go up. How much? I don't know.
That's going to be more of a trade deadline thing, I think, because they're going to try to see, one, if they're going to trade any more of their other bats. I know you mentioned Gleyber Torres a bunch and a couple of the other infielders. And then DJ LeMahieu, if he could stay healthy, can be that type of guy, too. Andrew Benintendi, they thought was going to be that guy. He got hurt. Now he signed with the White Sox, so maybe they'll find it somewhere else. I think that's more of a trade deadline thing they'll have to do with, because you're right. I don't think it's going to matter for the regular season. For the postseason, that's when I think it'll impact them, because the Yankees have had issues with strikeouts then. So that's why I think it'll end up being a trade deadline move to get a guy that could be a soft contact hitter like a DJ LeMahieu that they can hit lower in that lineup and sprinkle in within the power hitters.
Then the Mets, they sign Kodai Senga, who a lot of people like, the Met fans loved. 5 years, $75 million contract. He will be their third starter. And I think it's a good move. I don't know what he is. He'll have a good first year. Most of these Japanese pitchers do. That's when you really figure out who he is as a pitcher, because his second and third year, hitters start to get to know who he is and what he likes to do. And that's where he is going to have to figure out how he's going to pitch to every single team and every single batter that is all world. So I think this is a good sign. I don't know what he is. I never saw him play. I'm going to have the opportunity to see him this year, and I think Met fans will make their own decision. I love what the Mets did the other day, bringing in a new catcher.
Narvaez.
Yes, who was an all-star type of catcher, I think 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, with Seattle.
Yes. Is he a power hitter? I wouldn't say a power hitter, but he gives you a little bit more offense, a little more pop than McCann does. And Alvarez, I don't think the Mets really believe Alvarez is a starter this year. I think they think Alvarez, they can ease him in as the starter in the next 2 years. So bringing him, Narvaez, in probably tells you that's who's going to start for the Mets this year. They will trade probably McCann. I don't know what they're going to get for James McCann. Probably nothing.
Not much.
Carlos Carrasco, he wants out. And the reason why he wants out is because he's like a 5th or 6th guy now. They don't trust him, and he can't stay healthy. He's never been healthy. Even when he was on the Indians, the guy couldn't stay healthy. He'll probably get let go or dropped. Somebody will pick him up on waivers or free agency. I think Carrasco would be good in the bullpen, and I think that's what the Mets should look into. Trying to talk him into being the closer or an 8th inning guy. He's got the stuff, and he could throw hard. That would make a lot of sense. That could rebirth his career and maybe help prolong his career. This guy can't stay healthy.
He's on a pretty hefty contract for a guy that they want to be more than a 5th starter, so I think that's why they're trying to move it right now.
Make him a closer.
I could see him definitely being a reliever.
8th inning guy, obviously Diaz got a lot of money, but you get him into that 8th inning guy where you can then trade him to be a closer somewhere else.
Yeah. If they do end up trading him, yeah, you could definitely see another team try to do that too, where they try to transition him into the bullpen as well. Because, yeah, he does have good stuff still, and that could definitely help his durability. As far as Narvaez, I like the move too. I think good offensive catcher, still probably top half of the league when it comes to the position, and that's a good sign. Alvarez, they may be able to use as a DH because of that more, and not have him catch as much to wear his body out, because he's not great defensively as a catcher either. So they might have him used as a DH with Narvaez and Nido platooning as the catcher. As far as Senga, good numbers in his last 5 years as a starter in Japan. But again, you're right, it's Japanese baseball. They have bigger parks, and for the most part, not as talented of hitters.
And smaller balls.
And you're right, the first year of a lot of these Japanese guys have been a peak. We saw that with Daisuke Matsuzaka with the Red Sox. We saw that with Kosuke Fukudome, who was a rookie of the year with the Cubs. But they don't have the consistency as much in a larger sample. The good thing is Billy Eppler helped scouted Masahiro Tanaka when he first came to the Yankees, and Shohei Ohtani when he signed with the Angels in 2018. So hopefully that's a good sign that he knows what he's doing with these Japanese players.
Spin the wheel, make the deal with these players. You don't know what they are, and you can scout them all you want. You just hope you hit. So we'll see what happens. Maybe he's a good pitcher. Maybe he becomes the Mets' second best pitcher, or maybe their number one guy eventually when the old men decide to retire or leave. Verlander, who's a senior citizen, and so is Max Scherzer. The Mets pitching staff now is senior citizens. You're talking about one of the best young pitching staffs in baseball, completely gone now. Jacob deGrom, Batty Matt, Batman, Dark Knight, whatever you want to call him. Steven Matz, who's gone. He decided to go to the Cardinals. And then, yes, the one they call Killer. I love him, Mr. Wheeler. Zach Wheeler over there in Philadelphia, really making noise as one of the best pitchers in the National League, which I'm sure the Mets are smacking themselves in the head ever since they let him go.
Tremendous in the playoffs, too.
He's been unbelievable for the Philadelphia Phillies, who's, by the way, a free agent after this year, and he's going to make a lot of money.
Who, by the way, also signed former Mets pitcher Taijuan Walker now, too.
There you go.
So why not add more? The Phillies, Dave Dombrowski's been known for overpaying guys in the past. Got 2 bargains this offseason. Walker, $18 million was pretty good, and then Trey Turner, probably, besides Rodon, the second biggest bargain of any team this offseason.
Yeah, the Yankees won. The Mets, you still have to figure out, and I know a lot of Met fans say, oh, this is going to be a big offseason. Our owner's going to spend some money. He really hasn't. He's lost a couple of pieces, paid Nimmo as well as he should. And by the way, shout out to Pete Alonso, who actually came out here about 2 weeks ago to watch the USA Netherlands team play in the round of 16 in the World Cup. Lake Grove, Miller's Ale House. He showed up with his wife. He was sitting there and really enjoying watching the game before he was going to a wedding out here on Long Island. And then somebody spotted him. My friend Leaf told me at Miller's Ale House, he called me up and he texted me and said, you wouldn't believe who is here. I said, who? And he said, Pete Alonso. And he took pictures. And you know what's so awesome about Pete? Even though I'm sure his wife didn't like being bothered, you know, they're sitting there relaxing and just wanting to watch the game and be left alone, Pete got up, took pictures with everybody, signed cups and baseballs and jerseys, and people were coming up that found out he was there, and it really was an autograph session for him. So shout out to Pete Alonso, a guy that I've come to respect, a guy that if you're a Met fan, you should root for. A very likable guy who deserves the money, and he deserves, after getting the arbitration he got last year, and I'm sure he'll get a nice arbitration this year. Yeah. Next year, he is going to be on his free agent year. So I think the Mets this offseason better open up their pockets and pay their best player, because if they don't, just like Jacob deGrom, he will flee somewhere else.